Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Hello everyone. So here we are back to talk about the concept of cooperation. If you remember from the previous video, cooperation was a part of the associative process. If you remember a little about the associative process, it meant that something that is trying to bring everyone closer, something that is trying to accommodate and assimilate and make adjustments, and hence are allowing the understanding in a better way and the making of the harmonious nation or an entity. So this is what we'll be discussing about. What is cooperation? What exactly is the meaning of the term cooperation, and where all do we see this? Talking about the meaning and the definition of the word cooperation, cooperation means that generally it's working together for a common goal or an interest. So generally when people are working for a common goal or an interest, that is when what means as cooperation. If you want to take an example of justifying this, when we talk about the cooperative societies in the economical terms, it is, or rather even in the social terms, it means the societies which are working together, all the people of the society, when they are working together to have for a common goal or for a common interest. They're trying to have that understanding, they're trying to have that collection of ideas. Their aim is same. If you're talking about something as minor as, making a society harmonious or making a neighborhood harmonious, fun and peaceful for survival, that is what means the cooperation. When people are working together for a common goal or an interest. Now this word cooperation has been taken up from a Latin word cooperare, which means to work together. Again, an understanding of the word because it means in Latin as well to work together. When you are working together, and when you're working together, it is not always in a way that it will have a lot of challenges. It will be not a successful end, but even while facing all of those challenges, when the interest is same, when the goal is same, the end is received in a positive way. Now, literal meaning of cooperation is to work together and or a joint action. Both of these things very well defined. Now, they have taken an example of the family structure, like the way a family works. The father has certain roles, the mother has certain roles, the children have certain roles, the grandparents have certain roles, but they have one common goal of the happy living of the family. They have one common goal of the peaceful living of the family. They have a goal. All of these things are there. All of the roles that different people are performing are their particular roles, are their individual roles, but aiming towards one aim or aiming towards one particular agenda. And that is how we define cooperation. In the whole process, you might have challenges where my role might be overcoming your role. You might have challenges where in your roles, some aspect is touching my role's aspect as well. And we might have clash of opinions. But still, how you adjust to those clash of opinions, how you adjust to those situations and yet achieve your common goal or agenda is what is being defined under cooperation. One very, very perfect example of what they have taken is the United Nations. United Nations has different countries working together for promoting peace and stability in the world. You have different countries with different mindsets, with different ideologies, with different living conditions, with different challenges. when all of those things are being taken care of under one unit of United Nations, that is what is the best example of cooperation. So not that if my country is facing so many challenges, I would just want to say that, okay, no, my country is facing these challenges, so all of you have to do something for my country only. It is not like that. It is about understanding what on a larger whole will be good. What will be good to attain or to achieve the promotion of peace and stability. What will be the best practices, and not just being selfish in the whole sphere. This is what is the best example of the cooperation. Now, in both the cases we see, be it the family structure or be it the United Nations, people are working together or taking up joint actions to achieve a common goal. So the two very, very key important points or the keywords for the cooperation aspect is that the people work together and they have the agenda of achieving a common goal. These are the two aspects while we are talking about cooperation that we have to keep in mind. Obviously, it has been very aptly defined by the two examples here. Talking about what our sociologists have to say, Merrill and Inrig define cooperation is a form of social interaction, obviously, because there are people who are interacting and working together. They are in the whole process of interacting with each other, where two or more persons are working together to gain a common end or to gain or to achieve a common goal or agenda. So this is what they have defined it as, and exactly is what we have discussed before. Now, Faulkner said cooperation is the process by which the individuals or groups combine their effort in more or less organized way for the attainment of the common objectives. For example, your teacher has given you a task of organizing a sports day in your school. Now, the whole organization of the sports day in your school will take in a lot of aspects. It is not you as a single entity or as an individual who can organize the sports day on your own. You need the help of your people, of your classmates, of maybe at times your teachers, of the subordinate staff, of all the bhaiyas and didis in your school to organize that in a perfect way. Now, when all of these people, the individuals, as in all of you, or the group combined efforts, all of you working together for one goal, for the attainment of one common goal, that is the sports day, is what is the example of cooperation in your life. You might have such ideas, okay, no, let's not have decoration there, or let's not have this sport, let's not have this team. But how you manage to come at the consensus of either having it or not having it by the exchange of ideas, by the whole process of social interaction, is what is there in the process of cooperation. So these have been defined very beautifully by our sociologists. Now there are forms or types of cooperation as well. What all are the types or the forms of the cooperation? Let's see. Wherein they say first that cooperation can take place in different ways, mostly consciously and deliberately, at other times unconsciously or unknowingly. At a lot of times while you are preparing for your sports day, you will be in that conscious sphere that, okay, no, you will have that understanding that, okay, no, we have to have an amazing sports day, or rather, we have to have a very successful event. When you have that one common agenda of having the successful event in your mind, then at times the corporation may be consciously, okay, I choose to cooperate with you. I deliberately choose to cooperate with you because I want this event to be a success. At times, it can just be an unconscious or an unknowing effort that you're making from your side that, okay, fine, let's do what you are saying. You just want that main game or that main event to be a successful one, and that is why the common agenda plays a very important role in the process of cooperation. Talking about what are the types, there are two basic major types. One is the direct cooperation and the second one is the indirect one. Now, what is there in the direct cooperation? It is found in smaller groups. You are directly having a conversation with one another. You and your classmates. Okay, no, let's do this. Okay, no, let's do that. You are directly involved in the conversation with one another, and a very small group of people who are directly able to cooperate. Secondly, every member works together to accomplish a task. All of you are working together to finish that task, to have a successful event. It is not that one is sitting and one is not doing anything and one is there somewhere else which is not a part, is instructing you also. All of the people in the all of the members of the group rather, are working together to accomplish this task. This is majorly seen in family, lineage or a clan where members are closely related. It is generally seen wherein, in your family setup, wherein, okay, you adjust or you kind of have direct cooperation or direct interaction with each other, with the parents, with the father, with the mother, and you want to have one major understanding, one major thing. It might be a task as well for a smaller period of time. It might be just planning an outing. When you're planning an outing, how is the whole process going on? It is a task that you all are trying to accomplish. Now, how is it based on your interaction? Also, very importantly, based on the love, affection, duties and obligations. At times, parents would understand what the children are trying to say, what they want as a part of their outing, and accommodate it in the plan and make a part of it in the plan just because of the love and care and also the duties and obligations that they have within the family sphere. So this is a part of the direct cooperation that is present. Whereas as a part of the indirect cooperation, it generally is found in the larger groups like factories or governments. This is where the different members perform different tasks in order to reach a common goal. I am doing something else, you are doing something else, but we have one major goal. The legislative is doing something else, the executive is doing something else, the judiciary is doing something else, but then we have one major goal of running the nation in the best way possible. This is how the indirect cooperation works. This is how a factory would work, wherein the manufacturing unit is different, wherein the sales unit is different, wherein the executing unit is different, the thinking unit, someone who's planning on the plans is different. All of these things together are coming to one agenda or one goal, which is the successful running of the company, which is the profit-making company. So that is how the indirect cooperation works. It is majorly seen, they have given an example of factory workers. Like I said, the cake is being baked by someone else, it is being iced by someone else, it is being packed by someone else, the design was being thought by someone else, the end product is being delivered to different vendors by the sales team, and that is how a successful bakery is being run. So when the workers have their defined tasks but are there running behind one common goal is what is known as indirect cooperation. They say that the other basis of defining cooperation is the primary cooperation, secondary and tertiary. So the first basis that we talked about of defining cooperation was the indirect and the direct one, based on the communication, based on the proximity of the interaction that you with the person that you will have the interaction with. Now the second basis that they're talking about is the wherein you defined primary cooperation, secondary and tertiary. Now this is based on wherein primary cooperation is found in primary groups, close-knit groups, first-hand interaction, very close-knit groups. Secondary cooperation is found in secondary groups, maybe school, in the schooling system, maybe different classes. So if you talk about the primary cooperation, it is your friend circle in the class. When you talk about the secondary cooperation, it is your class and your classmates. You know what kind of interaction that you're having with your class. That is a part of the secondary cooperation. Now when you talk about the tertiary cooperation, it is the antagonistic individuals or groups to achieve personal or group goals. It is the whole school, the combination or the collection of classes wherein you have the goal or you have the agenda of making your school the best in the nation, in the state, in the nation, or whatever the agenda is. So this is how the other side of the cooperation works, wherein we distinguish it on the basis of the primary, secondary and the tertiary cooperation. They say that cooperation is very valuable in solving social problems, in avoiding conflict situations and in achieving larger goals. Solving social problems, very, very important for us to understand. All of these social problems are there because of because of either lack of interaction or because of lack of understanding or because of the lack of one common goal. So this cooperation is very, very helpful in solving of the social problems, in avoiding the conflict situations. Obviously, if you have social problems, it will lead to the conflict situations, and in the achieving the larger goal. Whatever the larger whole goal is, that is where cooperation plays a very, very important role. It provides the scope of mutual understanding and makes people come closer, makes people knit together. You have to have this mutual understanding for any conflict to be resolved. If we want to work on achieving a larger goal, that is when you need to have this mutual understanding. So all of these words, all of these terminologies are very much related, which lead from one to another. I hope you are able to understand what all this cooperation mean and the types of cooperation as well. You have very short questions wherein they talk about what is cooperation. Again, understanding what is the meaning of cooperation, that is coming together coming together for the achievement of the common goal or an agenda. The second question that they talk about is mention an example of direct cooperation. We did talk about when you are in the smaller sphere, in the family setup majorly, the whole love and affection that takes place is a perfect example of the direct cooperation. They talk about what is indirect cooperation. We talked about the government system. We talked about the factories. We talked about how people have their own roles, how people have their own agendas, their own defined roles, but are working for one common agenda, and that is what is indirect cooperation. Moving on to the short answer questions. Again, explain the meaning of the word cooperation. You have the major understanding of what is cooperation. Mention any 4 types of the process of accommodation in the society. Moving on to the next aspect of the question type, that is the short answer questions. Explain the meaning of cooperation. I'm sure you'll be able to now explain the meaning of cooperation. Moving on, essay type questions. What is cooperation? Discuss the various forms of cooperation. We have discussed about direct cooperation. We have discussed about indirect cooperation. We have discussed about the primary, secondary and the tertiary cooperation as well. You may mention all of this in the question. Then they say establish why cooperation is necessary for the continuity of the human society. We did discuss about how the cooperation is necessary wherein you set up common agendas, you set up a harmonious society. You ought to have a society wherein everyone is adjusting to the needs of the other, and that is how a successful, cooperative, peaceful society will be there. I hope you were able to understand the whole concept behind cooperation and will be able to answer all the questions.